It's a track that's the home of the Tifosi, and this weekend we open it up. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we give Monza the chicane-less treatment, at least for a Prima Variante, because anything else, and you're just going to run right through the gravel traps. This is Monza, and this is Grand Prix Legends. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Scott. Alongside me is Stephen Kernick. Stephen, this is one of those races that, alongside Christian Deploy and Donkey Beard, are just going to make those two gentlemen work so much harder.
That's going to be an incredible one, and considering we're using a car that is synonymous with Graham Hill and managing to get third place in its first ever race way back in the 90s, I've got to say I'm really looking forward to seeing how the drivers are going to be able to handle the high-speed action at the same time trying to move their way up through the order without losing points, considering we're right at the end of the championship.
Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's take a look at this track with an onboard view and a little bit of a description from some of our GSRC staff.
Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians, who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years.
Such a historic circuit, Stephen. This is one of, I think, one of the legends. Doesn't matter if you're running in F1 or if you're running in sports cars. It's always a check-off list to make sure that you make a win here.
That's going to be an incredible one. And considering it's all about high speed, this is the third variant that's ever been built of the Monza circuit, eliminating the giant oval that surrounds the circuit. It means that drivers are going to have to really think hard and be very cautious, because Ascari Variante is where it's going to be a lot of hard braking and great overtaking opportunities.
Well, you got to take a look at the Lesmos as well. Those 2 corners will definitely catch a driver out if they're going just a little bit too fast. And, of course, you're going to be carrying a lot of speed with no Prima Variante. Curva Biasano, just way too quick as well. And, of course, you cannot forget about Parabolica because of the lack of chicanes. 3.5 miles, 5.63 kilometers, and 7 turns. Let's take a look at the point situation so far this season in both the F1 and the F2 classes. And, of course, Valenteus with a 475 point on the board. But look at Jorge Nieva. It's 41 points back. Of course, you have the usual suspects with Kevin Verbruggen, John Olsen, and Seb Tixier rounding out your top 5. Gary Ho sits 6th with 146 in arrears. Nicola Kaki, Robert Plumley also looking pretty good in 8th place. Aku Liski and Leo Sicaro rounding out your top 10, though Liski and Sicaro both tied for 9th place with minus 196 points. On to the F2 driver standings. As you know, we run both classes here. Your points leader there is Thomas Tuba. Then it's Thomas Willerschauen with minus 8 in arrears. Ben Summers sitting in 3rd with minus 9. So that point standing in F2 just a little bit tighter. Then you got Mats Linden, Donald Peak rounding out your top 5. Those two battling for 4th place and kind of sitting pretty should something happen in the F2 points leaders chase. Eric Asari Tobias Avarni, Robert Pengrazzi, also Jonathan Jordan, and Josephine Becker round out your top 10. So tight battles in F2, but still F1. No surprise seeing the top 10 there, Stephen.
It's still going to be a bit of an interesting one, but it's the Spanish that lead out the Cup of Nations. Lithuania running in second place. United States 94 points back. Singapore in fifth, with the United Kingdom unfortunately going and running with 105 points off the back. Australia running a little bit in sixth. Netherlands, Italy. Well, we are now back at Italy, so looking score points here. Finland and Sweden at the bottom of the charts. The Spanish are looking to fly the flag high, but they are under some serious pressure, and seeing who's going to be able to stand at the top by the end of it. Considering we're on week 11 out of 12, there is only 2 rounds to make or break it for the countries.
Yeah, the pressure's on. As I said, round 11 to 12, 22 laps, open setups. No spare car, wreck the car to beyond repair, you're done. Drive through at 17 points and disqualification at 25 incident points. So 22 laps, really a lot of chances to make up those points. So you definitely want to be careful through there.
The main crux of the circuit is most probably going to be sitting at Parabolica. You go and understeer out a little bit wide. That picks up a point. Also coming out of Lesmo 1, drivers have been dropping a wheel off on the circuit during practice. It is Mick Claridge who is running up at the top of the charts with a 131.6 at the moment. Texier running in second place with a 131.8, trying to chase him down. But take a look at Ove Tingrid in third with a 31.95. As he that's 31.82, and that is incredibly close for second and third as it stands.
And you're going to see that here in this class. We're looking on board with Seb Tixier. And wait a second. Okay, we'll take a look at that paint scheme later because it looks a little interesting. See if we can get that during the race. But Tixier only can manage second place. Here's Jorge Nieva, as the 3-car has yet to log a time. Still plenty of time for somebody to get out there and log a time. Nievas also has not clocked a time. It looks like we have about 44 cars entered into today's race. So drivers using, I should say 46. I got to refresh my timing here. But nonetheless, a lot of drivers still have yet to take time. Still plenty of time. You just need at least one lap to get on the board. Nieva across the line as he starts his flying lap. 7th fastest, though. Yeah, 7th fastest. So.
Putting in at 326 kilometers now. A little bit of touching the dirt on the way through. He's going to lose a bit of grip. You can see frantically also just trying to keep the car in check as that V8 puts down the power. It's something that has been spoken about by Jim Clark, saying it's a very unpredictable motor where there's lots and lots of power that suddenly resurges underneath you as you get up towards 4,500 RPM, and drivers are having to contend with that, especially through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, as Nieva fights to keep it in check.
And it's interesting to see how these drivers are going to handle, especially the second Variante, completely straightened out. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Through Variante Ascari, hits the left, hits the right. You want to touch those because those curbs there will come out and bite, and you'll end up on the other side on that gravel trap right by the short track shortcut as Nieva heads his way into the Parabolica curve here at about 100 meters or so deep on the brakes. Let's see what he can do. Again, his fastest lap of 32.0. Claridge with the fastest time so far, but still a lot of quick drivers yet to log times with 20 seconds left. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up where across the line. 31.7 faster, but no improvement. Here comes Valenteius, 31.8, his best time that only gives him 4th quick. As McBean has a couple of seconds left, he may not be able to qualify there, and indeed he doesn't. Checker flag is out for this qualifying session, as we'll get the grid loaded up momentarily. So a couple of surprises there up near the front with Claridge taking the overall pole. Fastest times we saw coming in, about 2 minutes left. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, Stephen, with the grid looking like this. It's Mick Claridge and Jorge Nieva on the front row. Seb Tixier and Andres Valenteus make up row 2. Ove Trangerade and Kevin Verbruggen row 3. Oyer Zamola and Henry Morse row 4. And row 5 goes to Arturas Kundelis and Kyle Ridley.
Looking a little bit further down the order in this huge field, it's Gary Quinlan in 11th place, followed by Bill Taylor. Gary Ho in 13th, followed by Glenn Becker. Austin Furl is in 15th. 16th is Josephine Becker. Aku Liski in 17th, along with John Olson. Altor Fernandez Blanco 19th, and ending out row 10 is Robert Plumley.
On to row 11, you've got Matthew Maudsley and Jem Motson. In row 12, it's Kurt Clapper and Matthew Keene. Benjamin Sosko and Louis Tolan make up row 13. Tobias Havardi and Tom Willett, row 14. And Ray Oliver and Mads Linden round out your top 30.
As we take a little bit further down, 47 cars will be starting out this race. It's Mikhail Zembla in 31st, Cam Porter in 32nd, Michael Grinser in 33rd. 34th is Thomas Tuber, who is looking to carry on his championship run with Ben Summers chasing him down. James Salhani in 36th to go and battle through. 47 cars, massive amount of racing. Turn 1 is all about going flat out as they get a great start off the line. No burnouts there. Everyone finding has mounted traction to charge their way through.
And already a little bit of a battle for the lead going into Curva Biasano. Got a little bit of problem at the back. Several cars involved in a wreck. We'll see who that is here shortly. But already cars battling left and right with Nieva, your leader so far. Claridge sitting in second. Valenteus sitting pretty in third. And now they go through the straight second chicane. So still have yet to go to the second turns. And that's the first Lesmo, as Nieva holding on, and one car is off as well. So already mayhem at the start with multiple cars being involved in contact at the grid. One car going off at the first Lesmo. That's Jem Motson, as Motson trying to get their way back underway. Now they're at the tail end of the field, so losing a whole bunch of positions there. Valenteus sitting in third so far. Would not be surprised to see him in the battle for the lead shortly, as he goes to lose a spot as well to Verbruggen, but Verbruggen backs off there through Ascari. Now they're heading down the straightaway towards Parabolica. So far, so good. Almost everybody in a single file. No surprise here, but a couple of drivers popping out near the back of middle of the field, I should say. Verbruggen, now one of them, he's under that gearbox of Valenteus in that Gulf livery number 4 through the Parabolica. First lap will be complete here shortly, so Claridge will only lose one spot, but he's already lost 0.7 of a second as Nieva's opened up to what is essentially a monumental lead in these Lotus 49s.
Nieva's found the grip just to keep himself in check and has got the top end, but take a look. Valenteus going up on the inside, carries the momentum into second place. Mick down into third, and Kevin Verbruggen now right up against the gearbox, but we have got the likes of Oye Zamola now also putting the pressure in, looking to try and get his nose ahead.
Yeah, Valenteus doing all he can to close up that lead that Nieva has built up in that first lap. And he's got Claridge, Verbruggen, and Zamola as drafting partners through Lesmo number 2. We're on board with Claridge as he looks out the back of Valenteus. Still within striking distance, but Valenteus really closing in. No surprise here how quick that driver is in the number 1 down into the into Ascari, as they shift down a couple of gears. And look at that little jump that Valenteus has. You got to be very careful here. You don't want to lose it. You know, in spite of Valenteus's driving abilities, it's still, you get some air and you land wrong and it's game over.
So with the suspension helping out just to dampen things up, Valenteus up on the inside of Parabolica. He can make this work. Nieva stuck on the outside, and Mick's going to have the run out of the corner. Nieva is in trouble to lose 2 positions at this point, but it looks like Valenteus just not able to get on the power to put that nose ahead, but cannot pull back into the train. Mick taking the advantage here to try and get himself in, but has to be cautious not to be boxed up.
Well, we'll see what Nieva can do because he's very good on the high side, and he's going to get that high side again through Biasono through turn 1, but Valenteus gets that nose out front. Nieva not able to hang too much. He's going to tuck back in line. Your new leader is Valenteus as he goes down to the inside, sets himself up for the straightaway. Little cut there, but nonetheless, Valenteus opening up a little bit of a gap between he, Nieva, and Claridge. 1, 2, 3. You still have Zamola there sitting back and forth. Verbruggen rounds out your top 5 so far, but already we're getting racy here 3 laps into this race. Take a look at a replay here of, well, let's take a look at the replay here of that start line crash, and I think it was one of the drivers slow off. Scozo makes contact with the 26, and then, yeah, it's just game over.
Quite unfortunate there. That was the number 24 that wasn't just getting off the line. And unfortunately, Benjamin just being part of the accident. These cars are extremely difficult on cold tires to try and keep yourself in check. But also, when you've got someone that is just at a slow place, like Matthew Moody, who was that slow off the line, it just created a monster concertina effect behind him. Nieva now trying to keep as close as he can, but take a look at Mick putting his nose forward, seeing where there's an opportunity, as Valenteus going right to the inside line. A bit of a not an odd move to do to try and defend, but this is going to allow Mick right up the middle to try and get the pass done and dusted, and he does. Mick up into first place, Valenteus down into second, and Nieva around the outside, looking to try and hold that third place.
Yeah, Valenteus isn't done with that battle for the lead. He takes it momentarily as sets himself up for the Lesmos. But Valenteus, wow, look at that. He gets out front by a big margin. 0.4 of a second separate Valenteus from Claridge. That was an interesting move, though, down the front straightaway, as we saw, Valenteus just dip to the inside. Audris, very wise racer, but it's interesting to see what, why he thought that way. Of course, you saw that qualifying. That's usually to get a faster time. Interesting to see it in the race. Claridge closing in through Ascari. Now it's just a 2-car battle for the lead, as Nieva trying to hold off Zamola and Verbruggen, as well as Trangerade not too far back either.
We've also got Zamola, who is on a proper charge. Did his personal best of a likes of a 32.10. He was off by a 32.3, but that was quicker than Nieva, and continuing to maintain pressure on the way through. I do suspect Zamola may be able to get the run. Once again, Valenteus going to the inside line. He's breaking out of the toe, leaving the train on the left-hand side, but hoping that he has enough pace to defend through the long right-hander to ensure that no one is on the apex.
Side by side through one, it's Valenteus, Claridge, and Nieva.
Zamola trying to get involved in the fight in 4th place. Up 3 places from where he started, but Mick getting right underneath the gearbox of Valenteus. Nieva just seeing the 2 Ford-Cosworth engines ahead of him, battling out as he goes down the gears. Got to be so careful. No rev protection here. It's all about timing your shifts absolutely perfectly, as Mick looking to the right-hand side, Valenteus on the left-hand side, heading towards Ascari. Valenteus will have the advantage through the left-hander. Can he keep it? It looks like Mick is going to go out a little bit wide and cost himself a bit of time over the curbs. Nieva now into the gearbox, trying to push as hard as he can.
And that's what we're talking about. You don't want to jump over those curves too much, as Claridge goes to the outside of Valenteus.
Nieva now also trying to get involved, and that's brought Zamola into check as well. Verbruggen into the toe. This time, Valenteus not looking to the deep inside line, but it is going to be a chase for Zamola to go and move up into second. 3 wide as they're heading towards turn 1.
And Zamola Not across the line, but Zamola briefly taking the lead there throughout the circuit as Valentejus gets back in the lead. But look, moves Zamola into third place, so now he wants to come and play. Also look at fifth, sixth, also involved in this battle as well. So now we're getting racy here with 6 laps into this race. Oyer for Zamola through the Lesmos. He's up on their gearbox of Clare Ridge. He won second place. He's in third, but he's also got Nieva, the early race leader, up on his tail.
Zamola has shown himself a formidable fighter all season long, and even in the Lotus 79s, but this time he's going for the gold in the 49s, has to go late on the brakes. But I'm also keeping an eye on Seb Texio, who was a little bit further down, dropped as he went off in Lesmo 1. He is 15 positions down, trying to bring out as much pace as possible, like Jim Clark did way back in the 1967 Grand Prix, where he had to fight for 48 laps to bring himself to third place. He's hoping to bring that same magic in for the fight.
Yeah, but if you take a look at Seb's paint scheme, he's got Joey Atterbury all over his, all over there. So, I mean, it's a Joey Atterbury effect. You know, Jim Clark never had that. He was able to get to the front. Seb, different story.
Counted up. We've still got plenty of laps, 22 laps of racing. Anything can happen, as the drivers will have to work a little bit harder. Mick, however, has been on a proper charge defending his line. If you think about it, Mick has only been between first and third. He has yet to drop further down than that, as Nieva has gotten into fourth. He's got Zamola ahead of him, who is a formidable defender, very aggressive on hard defending. Let's take a look at the replay as Kyle Ridley going into the wall, huge impact, ricochets back into the train, just clipping one of the drivers.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about with some of these speeds, because they're faster than what you normally see. You're going to see those mistakes. Something that was brought up to us as well, your second place runner, Mick Claridge, with some VR issues last week with leading. Now, this has been an issue I've seen across the system over the past couple of weeks, where drivers will all of a sudden just not see anything in their VR headsets. So that's something to watch out for. Hopefully Mick has gotten that straightened out, especially now that he's closing in on Audris Valentejus going through into Parabolica. Thinks better of it, but still plenty of time to get into turn one, Curva Biasano. We'll see what happens there, as they've got a long straightaway coming off of the Parabolica. Now we see Claridge going to the inside, side by side across the line, 0.029 seconds as Claridge lost his drafting partner. Now here comes Zamola. Zamola's going to play with Valentejus. He's going to look deep to the inside once again. He tried it last time. Did it work? It almost didn't. Nieva now in second place as he tries to go for the lead. Everybody just wants a piece of it.
Absolutely amazing. And this is actually closed up to allow Tengrid and Verbruggen into the fight as well. To be fighting from first to seventh is all on top of one another, with everyone having the opportunity to go for a pass, everyone having the opportunity to find it out for the top order of the field here, the Lotus 49s.
Yeah, this battle also for, we'll call that fifth place, between Zamola, Trangarade, Kundalis, and Morse, really tightening up as well. I saw a couple cars side by side through the Lesmos and into Sergilo, as everybody, and no matter where you look, you're gonna find some sort of race, as Morse running that Jim Clark-esque paint scheme on his number 11. And of course, he also has a fan in the chat too.
Taking a look, Henry Morse is also just trying to put as much power down as possible. He's taking things a little bit more cautiously into Parabolica, not hard on the anchors. You can see the suspension not dipping down as aggressively as it once was, just trying to have a little bit more protection. Bill Taylor taking a jump up through the order. We'll have to try and keep it all together.
Tyler dipping into the top 10 now, and he lost it briefly to Farr just past the line. But look who's your new leader. It's Mick Claridge for the time being, as Valentejus tries to keep that lead, but he's high through one as they set themselves up into the Lesmos here. But Valentejus now shuts the door, gets back into that lead for the time being.
Valentejus busy playing a little bit of a bounce around. Let's take a look at the replay. This is Jim Martin. Oh, hard impact and taking two with him. Collateral damage on the way through. Jim not going to be too happy about that one. Unfortunately, just having the rear step out.
And that's the second time that Matson had an issue through the Lesmos. And it just goes to show how tough those two corners are. Doesn't matter if you have the chicanes or not. Steven, I know that I've had issues, even, not just in this service, but I remember the F1 game that you would play on your PSP, and even then that was tough. We're on board with Glenn Becker, and yeah, we're talking about that VR headset. Look at also at the bottom. I'm not sure how accurate that is. If you're running 72 beats per minute running iRacing, then you must be either A, Kimi Räikkönen, or just something's wrong with the heart rate monitor.
A very fit person going and riding, well, bicycle every single day, and normal heart rate usually 20. But Glenn Becker keeping it all together. A quick look up just to see in the virtual mirror, see what's around him and how far can he go and push it. Sitting in 12th position, wanting to get into that top 10. It's going to be hard work. Valenteus down into second place as Mick goes around the outside, trying to keep on the power as late as possible. It's going to be heartbreaking, but unfortunately, Valenteus just having a little bit more ahead of Mick.
And yeah, I want to go back to your point. You wonder if he's playing games, trying to stay out front, preserving his tires. It's not that big of a deal here in a 22-lap sprint race, I should say, but it still could be some sort of an issue. As we see Bill Tyler trying to get around far there for the 10th spot. That is the race, battle of the race so far. They get around the Lesmos, and Far able to open up just a little bit of a gap. It's about 1/10 of a second, as also coming into play is Becker in the number 20, so 3-car battle for 10th.
Tyler actually a bit faster than Alston ahead of him by 0.2 of a second, so he is trying to gain a little bit of time. Seb, however, going and getting a little bit of air time as he bounces over the curbs, trying to push that a little bit harder. You can see the throttle inputs as well, trying to be as precise, utilizing an age pattern just to get as much immersion as possible. Kind of jealous, utilizing the Pimax as well.
Yeah, and I love that. That's fantastic. By the way, Mick Claridge, so far your leader, by a nose at the line, 0.02 seconds. But let's kind of focus on Seb Tixier, as it's just amazing, seeing the quick blips as you upshift and downshift. And I'm trying to watch both battles here as Tixier trying to gain some positions after his issue through the Lesmos at the beginning of the race. But this battle for the lead, we really can't keep our eyes off it because it's just been so fantastic. And now they're going to have to deal with lap traffic going through the Lesmos, which actually decides discretion's a better part of valor. They're going to go high.
Go high, let the field go, but it also makes life rather difficult as the train snakes their way through. Zamola getting a little bit out of shape, is able to bring it back, and Kundelis is in 7th place, now going side by side as they charge down to Ascari.
That lap traffic brought the lead pack all together, so your top 8, throw a blanket all over them as they are now close to each other. Trangaray dropping down to 7th. He might lose 7th as well as Henry Morse closing in there, coming out of Ascari as, the leaders just really working tight. And also look at the battle for 4th place between Verbruggen and Zamola. Also, Claridge wants that piece of the lead back from Valenteus, but he's going to shut the door on him through the Parabolica. So right now, Valenteus sliding up high, but that's still giving him a little bit of an advantage to kind of scoot up a little bit more. This is the furthest away we've seen Claridge throughout the race for the lead, and now that's giving Nieva a chance to go to the inside. He's going to try to go for 1, maybe 2 going into the first corner. He's got it so far, but will he keep it? Let's see if Valenteus has an answer, and he does as he powers around the outside.
Like very close to the fringes of the circuit. Nieva just keeping himself in a good position here. If he can just try bring it back to the middle and hold back Valenteus, and does so, taking 2 positions very close to the fringes of the circuit. But take a look, Mick Claridge getting a terrible run out of the corner, has got Kevin Verbruggen back on him as well, and he's bringing Zamola with him for a bit of company.
Well, Steven, you know as well as I do that keeping in front of Valenteus is one thing, but holding him off for a lead is totally different. We'll see how long that Nieva can do that because right now it's a tall task as Valenteus looks to the inside, and he's going to take that position back from Nieva through Ascari. Now Claridge gets a little bit better run out of that chicane per se to try and battle himself back into the conversation for the lead. Nieva looks to the outside. We know how strong he's been on some of these wider corners as they're going to go side by side, Valenteus and Nieva through Parabolica. It's a huge ask, but Nieva might be able to get on the power a little bit quicker. Oh, a little wiggle from Claridge.
Claridge just saving the car, but compromising his pace. And now Verbruggen going to have a go at him. Zamola's going to have a go at him. And it does look like Condelis is also going to try and put his nose into, see if he can make it 4 wide. Going to be a tall loss. But Mick in a world of trouble, stuck on the outside into turn 1.
These battles here have been nothing short of fantastic. You had a battle for first, battle for third, battle for fifth. As now everybody straightens out. You don't want to go side by side through here because it's just so darn quick through the straightened chicane, now through the Lesmos. Looks like that Zamola's going to look to the outside, get a wheel off, not too bad, but he will have Kundelis look to this inside. So Kundelis going to get up into the 6th spot as Zamola holding off into 5th place. So far, everybody nice and tidy heading into Ascari. But look at this battle for the lead. Nieva, he still wants it. Valenteus has it so far, takes that inside line. Valenteus with a nice defense with that lead.
All trying to get the leg up on the competition. Nieva looking to score big here to get ahead of Valenteus, who had a terrible run at Montenegro where he didn't score any points. Nieva did. Monza can be the make or break for the championship between the two.
Everybody's kind of calmed down. It'll be 9 laps to go once we get across the line. As Zamola, we saw him through Ascari having a little bit of an issue. Went a little wide, so 9 laps to go, but still plenty of opportunity for anything to happen as Claridge goes to the inside of Valenteus, takes that lead. Your replay there with Zamola. Steven, talk us through it.
Going straight lining, unfortunately, not able to go and slow the car down enough, but in turn, kept it all straight. Didn't want to turn the steering wheel. That is what you need to do to try and keep it just going in the right direction. You touch the brakes, or if you turn that steering wheel, you're going to go impacting back into the train. So a very, very wise move to just keep it straight, keep to the outside, rejoin. You're going to fall down, but rather to finish the race with all 4 tires on than not finish the race at all.
Valenteus almost lost 2nd place in Nieva, but was able to make the defense as now Valenteus takes another attack heading into Ascari. This time he's on the outside, so he's got the preferred line, and he's going to brake just a little bit later. So move Claridge off into 2nd place. Nieva, you're on board with him. Watch how he's sawing at that wheel, trying to keep control of that car. As we all know, the Lotus 49, tough to keep advantage of. As now Claridge is going to try once again for the lead, heading into Parabolica. He has it for the time being, but Valenteus, he's just way too good through there. They're side by side, Claridge and Valenteus. Valenteus takes it so far as Nieva closing in, and there's a hole there if he wants to take it, but he's going to draft off of Valenteus, going down to the inside across the line, 0.003. All 3 wide for the lead as Nieva takes it at the line.
Nieva going and hoping that he can make it stick now as he's stuck in the middle of the sandwich. Valenteus getting squashed to the inside line. Mick on the outside, but don't count out Verbruggen. 3rd in the championship for a reason, and just waiting, biding his opportunity to go for a pass.
Oh, that was a smart move by Nieva. Back off through Biasano and try and make something happen later on in the race. Live another day. 7.5 laps to go as we're looking at 6th place Henry Morse right now. He's trying to get into that top 5 with Kundelis off his front nose, and behind him, he's got Tranger Rate. So Morse having to deal with 2 fast cars in between, but Claridge going to look to the inside, think better of it, going through Ascari. Here's Seb Tixia. He's worked his way up to 16th in that number 9. So looking pretty good so far. He's got Blanco ahead of him, then Plumley, I should say, ahead of him. So trying to work his way into that top 15. anybody that can do it's going to be Tixier. And, of course, with drivers dancing around him 2-3 wide, he might be able to do it sooner rather than later.
Tixier was just on that slow climb, but Glenn Becker going and keeping all calm, cool, and collected at the moment, waiting for his opportunity, utilizing the slipstream to pull himself along, and doesn't want to lose out too much drive here. With 7 laps to go, the last thing you want to do is give the competition just an inch, otherwise they're going to take a mile.
Battle for the lead also with Claridge and Valenteus, but Becker trying to get into that 12th spot with Olsen, who has it right now. Mick Claridge sitting there in second place. He lost the lead temporarily, so we'll see what lap traffic has to do. We saw what they did through the Lesmos and kind of close things up. I think they're going to reach them probably around Ascari as they make their way around the circuit. And yeah, lap traffic right there in the second Lesmo. But going to be interesting to see if Claridge, Nieva, or even Verbruggen can capitalize on the slower traffic.
Claridge can stay where he is within the top 3. It's going to be able to jump him into the top 10 of the championship at the moment. So Claridge is in for a good opportunity in the F1s to ensure that he moves into that top 10 and will be carrying a bit of momentum into the final round. So even if he doesn't get the win here today, a top 10 is on the cards for Claridge in the points heading into the final round. Claridge, however, wants to be the one to take the checkered flag, and Valenteus running into a little bit of traffic, had to take the inside line. You could see was aimed to try go out a little bit wide. Didn't quite work out, but will utilize the slipstream of the back markers.
Valenteus picking off these slower cars, putting them 1 lap down. Nieva going a little early to see if he can kind of defend and get into that second place. Not going to be able to happen. Zamola with their fastest lap, but look at the toe that Nieva had off of Valenteus, trying to keep Claridge down low and get that second place. Not going to happen. 1 car off. I think that's one of the lap cars that went off. Looking at our timing tower. No, yeah, it is one of the slower lap cars, kicking up some dust there coming off of the first corner. As Valenteus, Claridge, Nieva, 1, 2, 3. Verbruggen has closed in, as we mentioned, so he wants to enter into the conversation for the podium.
Well, Zamola doing the fastest lap time of the race, a 31.66, and is really putting the hammer down as there's a bit of a problem. The number 42 stopped in the middle of the road. That is James Salhani, who is now just trying to wait for the field to get going before he can continue on with the race. The Australian not going to be too happy with that one.
Now further down the field that he would like today is Nieva, trying to get back into that battle for the lead. He's got 0.2 of a second behind Claridge. So it's Valenteus and Claridge, 1 and 2, with 5 laps to go at the line. Still plenty of time for anything to happen, as we see Tixier has made his way into the top 15 as well. So moves Seb Tixier, who has a special paint scheme this weekend, into the top 15. Great to see a recovery drive out of him. Here comes Valenteus, almost into the pit lane, but at the last second moves over to the pit line and doing what we saw last weekend. The snake trying to break that draft. Trying to break the draft from Claridge, trying to close in, but it's going to be too little too late, as Claridge well within and now takes the lead through the Biasono, as Valenteus takes that lead back once again. Nieva moves into second place. You're on board with Kevin Verbruggen, 170 miles an hour as they go through the straightened out second chicane into the Lesmos.
Verbruggen keeping it nice and calm and clean. Very, very good on corner entry and exit. Not dancing around like the rest. Biding his time, but a bit of debris is going to make life a little bit more interesting as we go back. This is Bill Taylor in for a fight as he's fighting to hold the 10th place, moving into 9th, but has got a huge amount of pressure with the likes of John Olsen in the mix as well. Seb Tixier now getting back into the fight, 15th, with an opportunity to get back into the top 10. Gary Ho in 15th now, trying to fight his way through, bouncing around. You can see with that motion rig, not as comfortable as he would like to be.
Wouldn't be surprised to see if Tixier can get into the top 10 with about 4 laps to go. That would be a fantastic recovery for him in this series. Of course, we all know how the Lotus 49s, they just like to dance around, and that's always fantastic to see. But you don't want him to dance around too early, as Austin Farr trying to hold off Tyler to get in, keep him out of the top 10. 3 wide there for position. But that's one of the slower lap cars that faster traffic is going around. Claridge also doing his best to hold off Valenteus. So lots of battles as well. Here's Oye Zamola trying to get into the top 5. He's got Maurice and Cundalis ahead of him. So one move, and I think that Zamola might be able to make it into that top 10 as the field working their way around. Less than 4 laps to go. So Zamola into 6th. He wants 5th now, but loses that 6th place and goes into 7th.
Alexa for Buggen getting the run on him and managing to climb 3 positions up through the start. Drop down, but it's Henry Morse that has been a big winner. Up 3 positions from where he started, and Cundalis up 5 positions. But I still think that there may be an opportunity for Mick Claridge to get the hammer down, to get into that 2nd place, despite Nieva doing his fastest lap time of the race with a 31.97 on that last lap. 4 laps to go, however. The drivers are having to really wrestle these cars to the ground, try and keep it all together. It's going to be saying who has got the more stable car at the end with a lighter tank.
Tixier in 13th. He's got Tyler and Olsen ahead of him side by side. Still plenty, as we said, plenty of time for anything to happen. But Tixier trying to make a recovery drive after going off into the Lesmos in the early part of the race. One car coming out of the pits. That may hamper this battle as Tixier is going to slide his way to the inside as we watch the battle for the lead heat up with Nieva down low through into turn 1. As he's going to stay in 3rd. Cundalis made his way into 4th, tried to look into that 3rd spot, but he's going to stay steady with 3rd. And Claridge, though, looking deep to the inside as well through the straight and 2nd chicane. Look at this. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from the 13. That's Olsen. So Tixier's going to take advantage. We got a spinner. That looks like one of the lap cars involved. Tixier is going to make his way into 12th with that. Now he sets his sights on both Tyler and Farr for that top 10 spot.
Mick looking to try and get round Valenteus. Gonna be hard work here. Valenteus looking to carry the momentum through the championship. Mick looking to dismantle that opportunity. Nieva right on the back of him. Fantastic drive out of Ascari. Immediately went to the outside as it's side by side heading to Parabolica. And Cundalis also joining in the party. Nice and close. Goes to the inside through Parabolica. Just not enough to get the nose up ahead of Nieva.
Great showing by Cundalis as now he's in the top 4 into the conversation for the battle for the lead. Now, that's the normal FIA finish line. We're using the start line. 2 laps to go. So when they come off a Parabolica in 2 more laps, it's going to be a little bit of a run to the finish. Zamola with the fastest lap, 3 wide for the lead. Cundalis gets the lead for the time being, but Valenteus once again able to muscle around. Cundalis not going to make it easy on him as they come out of Biasono as Valenteus, Cundalis, Claridge, big problems as one car goes straight off. That's Claridge.
Cundalis that also is damaged. First time into the top 3, the 2 made contact. Claridge is out of the running, and that has opened it up for Valenteus. 2nd place at the moment. Henry Morse up through the order, 6 places up, has an opportunity to be 2nd and fighting it out against Nieva.
Well, right now, this is the largest lead anybody has had all race long. Valenteus 1.1 seconds with Morse behind Nieva, Zamola, but with the slower traffic that may or may not come into play. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Now it's 1.8 seconds, so lap traffic already starting to play, but still, anything can happen with Morse, Nieva, Zamola, 2, 3, 4. Oh, a little bit of a bump. Zamola getting a little patient. He's going to go off and right into the wall, so that's going to end Zamola's race as well. So in a matter of 1 lap, we've lost 3 front-running contenders, and Valenteus has said, thank you much, I'm taking it to the bank. Last lap, 2 seconds, the gap.
Olsen fighting it out, trying to make his way through. Kevin Verbruggen in 2nd place, bailing his way through. This is the contact. Mick Claridge into the back of the likes of Zamola, and that was that. Zamola getting suspension damage. Claridge going and pointing straight towards the wall, but Kevin Verbruggen, remember I said, keep an eye on him, been biding his time, holds second place. Nieva skating around him, doing everything he can. Morse in for the fight. Tungered, who has been waiting for his opportunity, had a close scare a little bit earlier on, trying to get past that traffic as he's got Colin onto the back of him, really pushing forward as they on their final lap, chasing down. Only a couple of corners to go. Nieva knows he needs to make this work around Verbruggen, otherwise Parabolica is going to be a nightmare. Nieva in third place, around the outside, tries to go for a cutback, couldn't get it done. Verbruggen's going to have to get as much drive as possible on the exit.
And of course, Nieva, we know how good he is on the high side. Let's see if he can make something happen, as Verbruggen's going to take the outside defense. So he's going to take that away from Nieva. But Nieva, so far, has a nose in front. Behind them, you got Maurice and Trangerade battling for that fourth spot. But this is the battle for the podium between Nieva and Verbruggen. Andreas Valenteus will come across the line. Easy win so far, but the battle for second and third comes into play as Nieva falls back. He's going to take second place across the line. Verbruggen and Morse finish third and fourth. Trangerade in fifth.
Taking a look further down, we have got Tom Whitlet's also trying to make his way through, holding in 17th position, trying to get as much of a run as possible for the New England team, and now just searching for an opportunity to get around the 24, late on the brakes, not able to get it. Matthew Moles Daly is just trying to battle out, goes out a bit wide through Parabolica, and that is a position gain for Tom at the moment, charging down to the line, only winning by a hair in that little duel.
Yeah, Maudsley finishing 17th. And then we got Samuel Ma, as he's trying to get up and up one more spot. I mean, why not? You know, he still have still racing pretty well there as he's going to the inside through Parabolica. That's always tough to do as the 44 shuts the front door on him going through Parabolica. And yeah, so far side by side, great battles. Samuel Ma may not be able to get it, but he's still got the tighter line going down the straightaway, and Samuel Ma will finish 27th. So a fantastic race all around. We got to catch our breath here as Andres Valenteus, once again, no surprise here, he is your leader, but it wasn't easy for him. Jorge Nieva finishes in second place, Kevin Verbruggen third, Henry Morse fourth, Ove Trangerade rounds out your top five. And then it's Gary Quallen, Austin Farr, Seb Tixier makes his way up to eighth after a fantastic drive. Bill Tyler finishes ninth, and Gary Ho rounds out your top 10.
Absolutely incredible racing, nose to tail all the way through. Glenn Becker taking 11th place with Aku Liski in 12th. John Olsen in 13th. Alto Fernandez Blanco moving up into 14th position. 15th is Cam Porter, followed by Tom Whitlet, who had a great run to the line. Matthew Moores Daly going and moving up in 17th. Tobias Harvey in 18th. 19th, Matt Linden. And Matthew Arkeen in 20th position.
As we take a look at 21st, Sandeep Banjari finishes 21st. Kurt Clapper 22nd. Thomas Willershausen in 23rd. Ben Summers 24th, 25th. Nathan Allen. Then it's Donald Peak in 26th, 27th. Samuel Ma. Oye Zamola ends up finishing off in 28th. Arturas Kundelis 29th, and Mick Claridge rounds out your top 30. All three of those drivers involved in that last lap second to last lap shunt.
Gillespie Rigas in 31st, Michael Locke in 32nd, followed by Jose Fine, Becker, Robert Plumley, Braden Sagasa, Michael Grinsler, James Salhani, Johnny Bell, Jim Monson, and Lewis Tolan, ending up in 40th.
And finishing off the field, it's Ray Oliver, Kyle Ridley, Mikhail Zabala, Alexander McBean, 45th, Thomas Tuba, Benjamin Sozko in 46th, and Thomas Moore in 47th. So we finished off 22 laps of racing, and it's only right that we talk to some of the drivers here, as that was just such an interesting race, Stephen. I think we're waiting on a couple of drivers, but let's break down that race. We saw the front runners. We saw the front runners slicing and dicing, but with 2 to go, it seemed like that's where everything went and said, okay, we're just going to go full throttle.
just been incredible. And considering you got 47 of these cars lining up in the Lotus 49, it's always refreshing to see Love going back to the historics to ensure some great racing, and also challenging the drivers here at the beautiful Monza circuit, where generally everyone tends to fear turn one.
Well, let's talk to one of the drivers who was up near the front, slicing and dicing with the leaders. Jorge Nieva joins us here in the broadcast booth. Jorge, I've got to say, that was a fantastic battle you had, but it seemed like, no matter how quick that you got to Audris Valenteus, he still had an answer for everything, but second in that craziness regardless. It's a fantastic result.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he was really the best today, so he deserved that win. But I thought in the end maybe I could have tried with the slipstream to try any pass, but with all that people around and a lap car and everything, well, he was in the right place because he is really good.
Let's talk about that incident that happened with 2 to go with a lot of the leaders wrecking out. And did you expect it? Because here in the booth, it seemed like, okay, maybe we're starting to, as I like to say, fixing to get bent.
Yeah, something was going to happen sooner or later, and well, lucky for me, I wasn't involved, but it was a lottery, and I won the second prize.
Yeah, no, lottery indeed, but nonetheless, a great battle for the finish there. Talk us through those last couple of corners, because you fell all the way back to fourth, but were able to jump up to second.
Well, I thought I could pass Kevin in the last straight, because during the week I've been making Ascari really good, so I tried it, I got it. It was really close. I think our cars had a little bit of contact, but well, it all went well, so I'm happy with it.
All right, Jorge, fantastic showing. It was such a great race, especially here from the booth. Who would you like to thank?
You guys at GSRC are really good. I love your stream, so keep doing this, please.
Jorge Nieva, your second place finisher today at Monza. And of course, Steven, you've got Kevin Verbruggen, one of the other front runners.
Absolutely. Kevin Verbruggen, welcome to the commentary box. Third place, 3 positions up, and you were in a mob fight from start to finish. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'll need to take a moment to let the adrenaline die down. That was very hectic. Well, yeah, you know that when going into Monza, but still, it's a very fun race.
Take us through the start of the race. It looked like you lost a bit of time. You were battling it out 5-6 cars wide into turn 1, turn 2, just fighting to hold your position, and seeing the likes of Mick having a fight of you, Jorge having a fight in front of you, and the likes of Valenteus. What was your game plan?
Yeah, my game plan was to, at the start of the race, get the best position possible I could within the train that would form. Also just see what others would do, see who would hold back a bit and who would go for the full-on fight. But then, yeah, even in the race, you need to deal with the cards you're given. Like halfway through the race, I went side by side with Arturas, and I tried to give him the space, and it was a little miscommunication. I almost ended up in the wall, so that's how close it could go. But in the end, there were unfortunately some incidents for others, but I could profit of that and ended up with a great run to the line, wheel banging with Jorge.
Absolutely incredible. While we got you here, anyone you want to thank that's watching out from the virtual grandstands?
I just want to give a shout out to all the people who work in the background to make the community what it is. And then I mean people like Rob and Matt, who keep the stats and the points updated, and John, who helps with the broadcast funding. Without them, the community would be a lot harder to keep the way it is.
Well, absolutely fantastic. Well done on your third place and keeping championships hopes alive, holding third in the championship in the F1. Kevin Verbruggen taking third here at Monza. Well, that being said, Jeremy, you have got the likes of Seb that's going to be joining.
Yeah, I've got Seb Tixier on board. Seb, I said on the broadcast, okay, the reason why you went off at Lesmos was a Joey Atterbury effect. What were you thinking?
Yeah, of course. It's a curse. I did a hybrid Dogo and Joey. I think Joey is not there, but he cursed me from even not seeing the paint. I'm pretty sure it's that.
Well, he's not here in person. He's here in spirit with the commentator's curse. But nonetheless, let's talk about your paint scheme, because a fantastic drive to 8th. But what's the impetus behind this week's scheme?
Well, I know that Joey likes planes. He likes dogs. So basically, I try to find a scheme based on some famous plane from World War II, some stuff like that. So this one, I think, is based mostly on the Spitfire, and the Shark is like a classic, I guess.
Well, regardless, 8th place. Congratulations. Great recovery drive. Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks GSRC for the broadcast, and like Kevin said, big shout out to Rob for the results, Matt for the stats, all the admins of the Discord, like Ben. I said I'm going to miss a lot of them, but all those guys make the community being a great community. I think it's the greatest community. Make Lotus 49 great again.
Well, congratulations. Great driving in the top 10, Seb.
Thank you.
Last but not least, let's talk to a driver who is up near the front. And Stephen, you've got Mick Claridge.
Mick Claridge, welcome to the commentary box, and not quite the race that you wanted. Before we get into what happened, let's talk about your first half of the race, nose to tail, fighting up for the top 3. How are you feeling just going wheel to wheel, going and charging against the leaders of the championship?
Yeah, do you know what? I actually did think about the championship. I'm obviously not in it, so when the guys were in front of me, I did think about it for about 2 corners, and then I thought, nah, I'll carry on and get in there, you know. So we all do that, you know, in this series. So yeah, happy to be fighting them. Yeah, that was good first half of the race. Yeah, enjoyed it.
And I know it's the gut-wrenching part. When we saw the contact going into the wall, what happened there? Give us a bit of a breakdown of just everything going out into Lesmo.
Yeah, well, it was just it's just that corner. That corner is so tricky when you come off of Curve of Grand like that, and we're probably one of the only series that run no chicane after that, you know. So we're just hooking over to the left. You have to have your car on the curb on the left, but we had cars sort of darting across the track there to get position and all the rest of it. And me and Arturis had a chat afterwards. Yeah, he broke a bit early, so I couldn't really stop. But I wouldn't say that that's his fault. You know, it's just a 50-50 because of the situation. I've done far worse than that in that corner before over the years, you know, so no problem whatsoever.
Well, you managed to make it this far, limped here to the commentary box. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, because you put on a super performance here at Monza.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, I want to say hello to my girlfriend, Emma. She's watching. Loads of people watching. The McKenzie boys, don't mess with the McKenzie boys. They're watching. But I want to have a shout out to one guy. This is the main reason I came in today. Laust Olsen. You guys might know him from the Camel series and this series. Jesus Christ, he's how many times has he got to fall off this motorbike he's got? But man, just Laust, sell the bike, mate. It's not doing you any favours, you know. Just get rid of it. I know I sound like your dad, but get rid of it, mate. Get rid of it. Anyway, shout out to Laust. Get well soon, mate.
Absolutely. Mick Claridge, despite the impact, still showing great sportsmanship. Glad to have you, and good luck for the final round heading up next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
And I'm going to go ahead and back upon Mick's comment. Yeah, Laos, get well soon, and please sell the bike. Go-karts are a little bit cheaper. All right, final thoughts, Steven.
I've got to say, Monza, absolutely incredible. Lotus 49s, absolutely some of the best Formula racing you can have. And what better way to bring a bit of history back? But I'm looking forward to heading out to Charlotte. Who's going to be able to clinch the wins in the F2 as the championship is so close to one another? So keep an eye out, June 7th, 2025, as we head out to Charlotte Motor Speedway, Roval.
Yeah, the Roval is so much fun. Doesn't matter what you're racing, and it's going to be even better in the Lotus 49. Again, June 7th, 13:30 UTC, 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time here on GSRC. Well, Stephen, it's been a pleasure having you alongside, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully, sometime in the near future. Of course, don't forget later on today, the IMSA Vintage Series takes on Zandvoort, and you don't want to miss that. Tomorrow, we've got Skippies at 9 UTC, 5 Eastern Daylight Time, Major Series from the Sarth at 14:45 UTC, 10:45 Eastern Daylight Time. And the Lotus 79s take place at Zolder, a fantastic facility in its own right, 16:30 UTC, 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. For the entire GSRC crew, my name is Jeremy Scott. Thanks for joining us, Christian Deploy and Dougie Beard, working the camera, Stephen Kernick, also alongside me. And remember, always keep it greasy side down and pointed forward. We'll see you next time.